Welcome back to In the Garden. I'm here with Jordan from Grange Co-op, and today we're going to talk about keeping deer at bay. Thank you, Jordan, for joining us. I first just kind of want to talk about fencing.
Sure.
And what sort of fencing can you do to help keep the deer away, but also what plants do you kind of want to fence off?
Exactly. The saying that good fences make good neighbors is especially true for deer. Sprays and repellents are going to be hit and miss as far as how often to apply them and their cost effectiveness and their general effectiveness. But a good fence built to the right height proportions is the best method of keeping deer out. So the big caveat is that we want a fence at least 8 feet tall. 10 feet is better. I'm familiar with most of the fences on the market. We've sold them, I've built them, and 6 feet is a really common size. Deer have no problems jumping right over that. Even like deer nettings you get in the store are typically going to only be about like 7 feet tall. So we can either amend that if you have an existing fence, you can raise it up a couple foot or two with just wire and flagging tape, or make sure your initial fence that you're building is going to hit that 8 to 10 foot mark. Certainly something like roses, hostas, that kind of salad bar they really love, you're definitely going to want to fence that in. But an orchard or maybe a perennial garden or a wildflower garden isn't going to be on their list for things they absolutely have to have, and you might find some peace and tranquility there.
Awesome. Okay, and I know we have some repellent options here, and I know some people might have at-home, remedies, concoctions they want to throw together, but to keep the deer safe, what sort of options do we have here? And you guys sell at Grange Co-op.
Sure. So most of your repellents are going to be based on either a disgusting smell or a scent towards deer, sometimes both. So things like blood meal, they don't like the smell of, and that's going to be kind of an area repellent versus these others that I think are a little bit more effective put directly on the plants. I'm going to have thyme, egg solids, sulfur, hot pepper, what have you. Like I said, I find these a little bit more effective, but you do have to reapply them, especially in spring, because you're going to have more deer. The plants are growing more often, and it's a rainiest season. But in the long run, this might be a good option for folks who it's not practical for them to build a fence at the moment.
Okay, and is there anything that, people should probably stay away from? I mean, besides having a fence or some of the repellents, is there something that could, possibly impact the deer?
Well, our deer are native wildlife, and there are strict rules and regulations around in that wildlife. So when you're dealing with homemade remedies, you should be cautious of anything that might, actively cause harm towards a deer. Passive things like automated sprinklers that kind of kick on with motion detection, or an AM radio are a really great safe way to not actually cause harms to deer. When it comes to products off the shelf, follow the instructions, read them carefully to make sure you're not either causing direct harm to our wildlife or to yourself or your pets.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And if you guys have any more questions, you can head over to a Grange Co-op to ask some of the same questions I did, or head over to our website at KDRV.com.